Artemis was born into a divine order already fractured by fear, hierarchy, and inherited violence that shaped the Olympian world. As the daughter of Zeus and Leto, her existence was hunted before it was acknowledged or protected by divine law. Hera's jealousy transformed pregnancy into exile and survival into an act of resistance against absolute authority. From the very beginning, Artemis learned that distance, silence, and self-control are the strongest and most reliable forms of protection. Her birth occurred on Delos, a wandering island rejected by stable lands and denied sanctuary by the gods themselves. There was no safety, only endurance shaped by necessity, uncertainty, and isolation. Artemis emerged before Apollo, witnessing suffering and effort before comfort or celebration could exist. Instability became her first lesson about the true nature of existence. Almost immediately, Artemis assisted in the birth of her twin brother, standing at the threshold between pain and life. Blood, exhaustion, and responsibility surrounded her earliest actions and defined her awareness. She learned that strength does not require age or preparation, only resolve and clarity of purpose. From her first moments, boundaries and transitions became her eternal domain. When Zeus offered her gifts befitting an Olympian, Artemis refused symbols of marriage, luxury, and possession. She demanded eternal virginity, the bow, and absolute sovereignty over herself and her path. Identity, for her, was defined by refusal rather than accumulation or reward. Autonomy was elevated into sacred, irreversible law. Artemis rejected cities and the imposed order of civilization, claiming the untamed world as her realm. Forests, mountains, rivers, and wild creatures responded instinctively to her presence. Where human control expanded, her influence resisted, corrected, and limited it. Balance replaced domination wherever she walked. As goddess of the hunt, Artemis embodied discipline rather than brutality, cruelty, or indulgence. The hunt under her authority was governed by necessity, restraint, and respect for natural order. Each death served balance rather than desire, pride, or conquest. Precision replaced savagery, and purpose replaced excess. Animals did not flee Artemis as they fled mortals, because they recognized her as living law rather than predator. She protected the young, punished excess slaughter, and enforced equilibrium without emotion or hesitation. Survival under her gaze required restraint, awareness, and instinctive respect. Nature obeyed her because she understood its limits completely. Artemis surrounded herself with nymphs bound not by obligation, but by chosen independence. Their unity existed without hierarchy, domination, or imposed authority. Power flowed horizontally rather than vertically within their sacred circle. Freedom became collective strength rather than solitary isolation. Violation of Artemis's sanctity demanded immediate and irreversible consequence. She tolerated no intrusion, entitlement, or violation of boundaries. Intention mattered less than transgression itself under her law. To cross her limits was to lose identity, place, and form. The fate of Actaeon embodied her law with merciless clarity and precision. To see what was forbidden meant dissolution of the self rather than simple death. Transformation became punishment, erasing humanity from arrogance and entitlement. The hunter became living proof of violated balance. Despite her vow of eternal virginity, Artemis governed childbirth and female suffering. She presided over pain without surrendering autonomy or personal identity. Blood, endurance, and survival unfolded beneath her silent authority. Protection did not require participation, only vigilance and presence. Artemis ruled transitions rather than destinations or final outcomes. Young women invoked her at the collapse of childhood certainty and imposed expectation. She guarded identity during transformation without defining what followed. Passage itself mattered more than the result. Hubris was the transgression Artemis punished most relentlessly and without appeal. Comparison, challenge, or defiance of her order could not be tolerated. Judgment under her domain was immediate, precise, and final. Nature does not argue, negotiate, or forgive. Unlike gods driven by desire, ambition, or emotional excess, Artemis remained distant and incorruptible. solitude preserved her clarity and sharpened perception. She neither loved mortals nor despised them. Detachment became the foundation of her justice. The moon emerged as Artemis's eternal mirror and instrument of awareness. Its cold light revealed movement, danger, and truth without warmth or illusion. Night transformed from fear into vigilance under her watch. Darkness became clarity rather than threat. Artemis existed as resistance to unchecked civilization and endless consumption. Where cities expanded without restraint, her presence imposed limits and consequence. Nature required defense against exploitation, disguised as progress. She became boundary made divine. To mortals, Artemis represented purity not as innocence, but as sovereignty of the self. She rejected imposed roles, expectations, and external desires. Identity under her protection remained unclaimed by others. Freedom demanded discipline and restraint. Mercy existed within Artemis's justice, but never without humility. Respect and awareness invited protection beneath her gaze. Disregard summoned destruction without warning or negotiation. Balance tolerated no sentimentality. Artemis did not require temples of stone to assert her divinity. Forest clearings, mountain passes, and untouched valleys became her sanctuaries. Silence served as her truest offering. Reverence manifested through restraint rather than praise. Women found strength in Artemis through endurance, refusal, and autonomy. She validated solitude as power rather than absence or weakness. Protection under her did not demand submission. Independence became sacred inheritance. Her myths functioned as warnings rather than celebrations or comfort. They condemned intrusion, entitlement, and imbalance with absolute clarity. Consequence followed violation without appeal or redemption. Memory preserved law across generations. Artemis embodies the necessity of limits within existence itself. Growth without boundary invites collapse and destruction. Life survives through restraint as much as expansion. Balance defines true freedom. She remains eternally youthful, untouched by decay, desire, or transformation. Permanence defines her presence within a changing world. She does not evolve, but enforces evolution in others. Stability emerges from constancy. As long as forests remain wild and the moon crosses the night sky, Artemis endures. She is not nurture, passion, nor rule. She is boundary given divine form. Through her, balance survives against excess. Like, subscribe, ring the bell, and share your impressions of the video.